It's 2:14 a.m. The blue light from the screen is burning your retinas, but your thumb just keeps swiping. You are reading about strangers losing everything, and your chest actually aches. The jaw locks tight. There is a heavy, numb weight pressing down on your lungs. Every tragic headline sinks into your skin, absorbing the misery of people thousands of miles away until breathing feels like work. We tell ourselves this makes us compassionate. Breaking your own heart over the daily news feels like proof of being a good person. But that is a lie. This empathy has become a quiet, destructive spiral. If you are watching this at 3 a.m., trying to fix a broken world while your own life feels heavy, stick around. We are about to tear this painful pattern wide open. Taking on the world's weight isn't just staying informed. It is operating like an emotional sponge, soaking up global panic to the point of severe internal exhaustion. And it usually happens completely by accident. What looks like deep compassion is often just hypervigilance in disguise. A nervous brain constantly scans the horizon for danger because sitting in absolute peace feels incredibly unsafe. Tragedies from the news feed act as a bizarre way to regulate a nervous system. It sounds crazy, but the panic felt while scrolling is deeply familiar. It is a baseline level of tension that feels like home. Notice what happens when life gets quiet. The static in the room gets too loud, and the calm feels unbearable. So an app is opened, injecting the mind with someone else's heavy, chaotic reality. If this hits somewhere private, let me know in the comments. Pushing yourself into a mild panic attack just by reading the timeline is a silent epidemic. So many of us are trapped in this exact same loop. This is the life of the doom-scrolling empath. Witnessing suffering is never enough. There is a quiet obligation to wear it. Feeling terrible about the world feels like the only way to avoid betraying it. But chronic anxiety does not stop conflicts. Insomnia does not feed the hungry. The heavy chest does not heal the sick. Exhausting yourself in a dark room does not change a single thing out there. There is a darker psychological payoff hiding here. Taking on global pain creates an illusion of control. The subconscious believes that anticipating the disaster might soften the blow when it finally hits. The mind tricks itself into thinking worry is a form of work. Obsessing over worst-case scenarios feels productive, as if that heavy anxiety is a literal shield against being caught off guard. Think about Ethan. He spends 3 hours every morning reading about economic collapse. His stomach is tied in knots before he even finishes his coffee. He calls this being a responsible citizen. But Ethan is not preparing for anything. He's just practicing how to be miserable. He wears out his nervous system daily, hoping that if something bad happens, he'll already be totally numb to it. That exact same logic drives the midnight scrolling. Gorging on tragic headlines feels safe because the brain thinks data equals protection. But knowing every terrible detail does not protect the mind, it hollows it out. Then comes the guilt of privilege. Sitting in a warm apartment, eating dinner, a sudden violent wave of shame hits simply for being safe while others are enduring heavy conflict. The immediate response is self-punishment. Forcing the eyes to look at the worst images online feels like paying a moral debt. Becoming sick to the stomach feels like the price of admission for a quiet evening. It's a twisted form of self-sabotage. Enjoying a simple life suddenly feels arrogant or blind, so the horrors of the world are dragged right into the living room just to even the emotional score. Listen carefully to this. Punishing a safe nervous system does not distribute that safety to anyone else. It just ensures there's one more broken, exhausted person in a world already full of them.
This brings us to the hardest truth to admit. Sometimes leaning into global pain is just a convenient way to avoid looking at personal ruin. Crying over a stranger is much easier than facing a dead-end life. Look at Chloe. She will sign 10 petitions for international causes, but cannot reply to a text from her mother. She weeps for the world because she is completely terrified of her own reality. Global empathy can be the perfect camouflage. It feels noble. It feels huge. It provides a flawless excuse to ignore a stalling career, a lonely relationship, and the terrifying feeling of being lost. If someone is busy grieving for humanity, nobody can ask why their own sink is full of dirty dishes. Nobody can ask why they have quietly isolated themselves from everyone who actually loves them. Hiding behind the news to numb personal grief is more common than we admit. Drop a comment if global anxiety has ever been a shield to avoid dealing with a painful text message or a failing relationship. The ego also plays a quiet role here. Many empaths accidentally build their entire identity around being the one who cares the most. There is a deep desire to be seen as profoundly affected by everything. Outrage gets posted, heartbreak gets shared. Social currency is built on being the most sensitive person in the room. But behind the glowing screen, the body is just running on pure cortisol. Take Tyler. He argues in comment sections for hours, absorbing toxic insults from strangers. He thinks he is fighting the good fight, but his brain is really just addicted to the aggressive adrenaline. Emotional exhaustion gets mistaken for moral superiority. The dark bags under the eyes feel like badges of honor, but nobody is giving out medals for who can ruin their own mental health the fastest. The cost is total loss of presence. Sitting across from friends at dinner, the physical body is there, but the mind is thousands of miles away, trapped in a disaster zone that cannot be fixed from a restaurant.
The digital empathy black hole goes deeper than articles. Falling into the comment sections is where the real damage happens. Reading the cruelty of strangers slowly crushes any remaining faith in humanity. Absorbing casual online hatred creates a phantom pressure on the chest. Suddenly, the people in real life are treated with suspicion because of dark opinions typed by anonymous avatars thousands of miles away. Walking into a grocery store becomes an exercise in paranoia. Looking at normal people, the mind wonders which of them holds those toxic beliefs. Empathy mutates into a quiet, suffocating fear of everyone. The digital world and the physical one bleed together. The algorithm's extreme reality becomes the brain's actual reality. The ability to trust a neighbor is destroyed by a comment section. Beneath all of this lies a quiet savior complex, a heavy, unspoken responsibility for the emotional temperature of the entire planet. Witnessing the pain feels exactly like carrying it for them. Rachel reads stories of grieving mothers and cries in her car for an hour before work. She believes her tears are a spiritual offering, but her tears change nothing. She just arrives at her desk totally drained. Here is the brutal reality of the screen. Witnessing tragedy online does not magically lessen their burden. The people suffering do not feel those tears. That heavy empathy is just eating a kind heart alive in the dark. Carrying a stranger's story all day until it causes physical sickness is a heavy, unfair burden. It was never yours to carry in the first place. Acknowledging that truth is incredibly painful, but necessary. Eventually, the mind simply breaks under the weight. Taking in so much trauma forces the brain to shut off the valve completely. The intense caring suddenly flips into a hollow, cynical emptiness. Going from caring too much to feeling absolutely nothing is terrifying. A horrible headline appears and the chest remains blank. Then the guilt hits. Hating that numbness forces the thumb to scroll even harder.
It's a vicious cycle of hyper-empathy followed by emotional collapse. The nervous system is treated like an engine on a test block, revved past the red line until the fuses blow and the lights go out. The human brain was never designed to operate this way. Evolution prepared us to handle the problems of a small village. We simply do not have the hardware to process the daily tragedies of 8 billion people at once. This kind of empathy is a beautiful trait, but right now it functions like an autoimmune response. It attacks the mind's own healthy cells because it lacks boundaries. It simply does not know when to stop. But this pattern didn't start with a smartphone. It began much earlier, likely in a childhood bedroom. The nervous system was wired long ago to absorb the chaos of the surrounding environment. Some kids learn to be human thermometers. Growing up in unpredictable environments requires reading the mood of adults just to stay safe. If mom was stressed, the shift in the air was felt before she even spoke. If dad was angry, the static in the room shifted and the stomach dropped instantly. Surviving meant anticipating emotional weather. Empathy wasn't a spiritual gift back then. It was an advanced trauma radar. The lesson learned was that other people's emotional states were an immediate personal responsibility. Upset adults had to be managed, absorbed, or fixed so the environment would remain safe and predictable. As adults, that exact same survival tactic is applied to the internet. The global newsfeed is treated exactly like a volatile parent. It must be monitored constantly so it cannot catch the mind off guard. But the internet is a parent that never calms down. It is a machine built to scream 24 hours a day. Every late-night scrolling session is essentially an emotional flashback. A terrifying headline makes the inner child brace for immediate physical impact. Global data is constantly confused with present danger.
Unhealed hypervigilance perfectly mimics global compassion. Managing the mood of the world feels like the only way to finally relax. But the world never stops spinning, so that moment of peace never arrives. Recognizing this connection changes everything. If this childhood survival logic makes perfect sense to you now, let me know below. Realizing the phone is triggering an old wound is the first step out. Breaking this cycle requires a brutal reframe. It demands accepting the absolute limits of a single human body. You are only one person, and drawing a boundary with the world is the only way to survive it. Setting that boundary is not selfish, it is deeply necessary. A drowning lifeguard cannot pull anyone from the water. Stepping out of the violent current of the news cycle is the only way to regain strength. Awareness must be separated from action. 4 hours of paralyzed scrolling is not activism, it is subtle self-harm. True compassion requires physical energy, and right now all that energy is spent on grief. The intake must be limited. 20 minutes a day is enough to understand the state of the world. Then the device belongs in another room. The crisis will still be there tomorrow without your constant supervision. Reclaiming the physical body stops the spiral. When the panic rises, notice the locked jaw and the shallow breathing. Force the eyes to look at the immediate physical room. Return to the present second. Touch the desk. Feel the solid floor under your feet. Let the mind register the quiet of the room. The world outside might be burning, but right here, in this exact square footage, everything is actually safe. Empathy needs a local focus. Trying to manage the geopolitical landscape is impossible. Being present for a friend sitting across the table is real. Shrinking the emotional radius brings power back. Grieving for strangers has resulted in abandoning a very real life. It is time to come back. Calling a mother, cleaning the kitchen, or walking outside matters. A small, quiet life actually deserves attention. Joy is allowed, even while others are hurting. Let that sink in completely. Experiencing happiness is not an insult to global suffering. Refusing to live fully does not save a single person out there. Tell me one small thing you will do today just for your own immediate life. Let go of the global weight for just 10 minutes. Reclaim one tiny piece of your own reality because it has been ignored for too long. This is the hardest psychological shift for the empath. Grieving the inability to save everyone hurts deeply. Sitting with the extreme discomfort of being powerless on a global scale feels incredibly wrong at first. But inside that total powerlessness is massive freedom. When the impossible job of managing the planet's emotional state is dropped, the energy to finally manage a messy living room suddenly returns. Effectiveness grows in the quiet. A calm, grounded person who helps one neighbor is infinitely more valuable to the world than a panicked empath hyperventilating over a glowing screen in an empty apartment. The right to exist does not have to be earned through suffering alongside the masses. Empathy is a beautifully sharp tool, not a master. It is time to take the controls back from a nervous system stuck in overdrive. The world will always be burning somewhere. There will always be a crisis, a tragedy, a reason to panic. But you do not have to set yourself on fire just to prove you care about the smoke. The human heart was never meant to be a dumping ground for the internet's misery. You have absorbed enough. A heavy psychological price has already been paid for a digital game that cannot be won. The greatest act of rebellion in a chaotic digital world is to fiercely protect your own peace. Turn off the screen. Breathe in the quiet of the room. Feel the steady rhythm of a calm heartbeat. You cannot save the world tonight, but if you put the phone down, you might just save yourself. Close the app, close your eyes, and for the first time today, just let yourself be entirely okay.